How's it going, everyone? JJ Star here, and welcome back to another Pokémon Journeys episode review. And welcome actually to the third and final part of ASH vs Cynthia. And if you remembered what happened so far, Cynthia is currently on 2 Pokemon left with Togekiss and Garchomp, while Ash is down to his Lucario, which is just about to Mega Evolve. I know this is going to be an exciting episode, I know everyone's excited for it, so without further ado, let's just jump into this week's episode. So once again, like every other week that we've had, the episode opens up with a little recap of what's happened so far. However, this recap covered the last 2 episodes of ASH vs Cynthia. So we got to see everything that's happened since Dragonite entered the field, all the way up to Lucario entering the field. We then get to see what happened right at the end of last week's episode, where Ash lifted up his arm, pressed his Mega Band to Mega Evolve Lucario. And remember also at this point that Togekiss has been Dynamaxed, so we've got a giant Dynamax Togekiss on the field and a Mega Lucario. Togekiss sends up a Dijet and Lucario managed to run all the way through with an Aura Sphere in its hand. However, it didn't really matter because Togekiss just swatted the Aura Sphere away like it was nothing. Lucario then lands some powerful bullet punches, and I mean it looks like Togekiss is in serious pain, but clearly not. Togekiss is taking everything and just standing strong throughout all of it. Lucario then goes for its most powerful move, the Mega Aura Sphere, or Dynamaxed Aura Sphere as they like to call it. Lucario holds out his Aura Sphere and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And I don't think it gets as big as when he faced Rayan, but nevertheless it was powerful enough and big enough that it caught Greninja's eye, and Greninja managed to sense that Lucario is using this super powerful move. It's always good to see Greninja back in. Hopefully we'll get an Ash Greninja soon, but we'll have to see about that. Lucario throws the Aura Sphere at Togekiss, and Togekiss is unable to swat this one out the way, and it hits Togekiss, then falls to the ground, and is wiped out of Dynamax mode, so now it's back down to its standard mode. And you'll never guess what? Togekiss gets back up like nothing's happened. It literally looks like it hasn't taken any damage whatsoever. I tell you what, this Togekiss is either super powerful or it's just putting on a brave face. But nevertheless, Lucario eventually lands a bullet punch and beats Togekiss, which means Cynthia is down to her final Pokemon, which is Garchomp. So we've got Cynthia on Garchomp and Ash on Lucario, both of them on their final Pokemon. Ash then talks to Lucario, and then Cynthia talks to Garchomp. We get a little flashback of Cynthia and Garchomp when they were younger, so we had Cynthia and then Gibble, and that evolved into a Gabite, and then eventually into a Garchomp. And it was just nice to see that we have a little bit of history with those two. And then, after the flashback, something wonderful happened. The next minute, and I mean a complete minute, was wonderfully animated. It was so good. The attacks they were doing with, it looked like Stone Edge, but I don't think it was Stone Edge now. Lucario was sending up Aura Spheres, and it was hitting Lucario, and Garchomp going in with some Dragon Claws, while Lucario's going in with Bullet Punches, and they were just hitting each other, and you can see how powerful these moves are. I mean, listening to the sounds and watching it on the screen, it just looked like they were causing each other so much damage, but obviously both of them really want to win. It was just good to see that both these Pokemon are putting everything in, and the animators are making sure that it emphasizes it as well. Yeah, well done to whoever animated this scene, because it was fantastic. Eventually both Pokemon move away from each other, and you can tell that the next move that they land is probably going to be the final one. Garchomp shoots in with a Dragon Claw, while Lucario counters it with a Reversal. Bear in mind, Reversal becomes even more powerful the lower HP the Pokemon has. You can see by here, Garchomp and Lucario are both on their last legs. So with Lucario being so low on health, it means that this Reversal is doing hundreds and thousands times more damage than it would have done. Both Garchomp and Lucario land their moves, and both of them fall to the ground flat. And I mean, you can see everybody is watching. Everyone is like, what's going to happen? Who's going to get up first? Who's going to win this? Well, everybody's really worried, apart from Leon. He's just smiling away, thinking, hey, doesn't matter to me. I'm going to battle whoever wins this anyway, so doesn't bother me in the slightest. But eventually, after a couple of seconds, Lucario managed to stand back up, and I tell you what, Ash's face in this was just the shock and surprise. A bit like when he won the Alola League, that just surprise face was like, wait, what? I've won this battle? Lucario stood back up? Is this really happening? Wow! And with Lucario standing back up and Garchomp not, it means that Ash has finally beaten Cynthia, and means he's shooting on to the finals against Leon, which I think we all knew was kind of going to happen anyway. And you can see everybody in the stands. You can see Go and Hop and Team Rocket, and even the Vic and Toria from that useless episode are even in the crowds. You see Professor Oak and Ash's mum and Tracy and all the Pokemon there are all really, really happy and excited to see Ash has finally beat Cynthia and going on to the finals. Lucario then helps Garchomp up, and Cynthia congratulates Ash on a great battle and well done on beating her. Cynthia then heads towards the tunnel, leaving the field, and meets Diantha there, and Cynthia ends up saying that she's not going to retire because this battle has opened her mind and realised she has so much more to do and so many battles and how much stronger she needs to get, which on one hand I'm okay for, because Cynthia is the champion of Sinnoh. That's what, you know, everyone knows. If you think of who's the champion of Sinnoh, it's Cynthia. However, I would have enjoyed her retiring and seeing who would have been the next person to take that role from her. Ash then brings out all of his Pokemon that have fought in the battle. He congratulates them. He says that we're going to win the next battle. We're going to beat Leon. And that is where the episode ends. So, what were my thoughts on this episode? Well, quite a few points with this. I mean, let's talk about the Dynamax Togekiss first. The amount of damage Togekiss was taking, even though it was in its Dynamax form, I know that means it gets extra health and it's just more powerful, but it was taking so much damage from a Mega Lucario. I mean, it took Bullet Punch, which was super effective. Bear in mind, Togekiss is a Fairy type, Bullet Punch is a Steel type move, so obviously it's doing, you know, super effective damage. It also gets hit with a giant Aura Sphere that Lucario practiced with Greninja all them episodes ago, and it got hit with it, and all it did was take it out of its Dynamax form, and it looks completely fine. No scratch marks, no damage whatsoever. I know Togekiss is a pretty bulky Pokemon and pretty powerful. I suppose I would have just liked to see maybe some scratch marks, some dust on it, maybe a bit dirty, because it looked like it was taking no damage until that final blow at the end. Another point I want to cover is obviously Lucario's giant Aura Sphere. I think they call it Dynamax Aura Sphere. It's really good to see this again, and also really good to see that Greninja was back in it, even though it was literally for about 5 seconds on the screen. It turned around and that was about it. But I feel like it should have been the move to take down Togekiss, not just knock it out of its Dynamax form. Did it even knock it out? Because I know Dynamax has a timer, so my timer might have just run out. It might not have even done really anything at all, come to think of it. One thing I did really like about this episode was that incredible animation between Lucario and Garchomp, where both of them are just hitting each other over and over again. Yeah, just really love to see that. It was really good. And then another big point of the episode is obviously Ash beating Cynthia. Ash beating the Sinnoh champion, the second strongest trainer in the whole world, which means, I suppose that means now, that Ash is now the second strongest trainer in the entire world. On one hand, I should be feeling really happy and really proud that Ash has done all this, but on the other hand, we all knew it was going to happen. We all knew that it was building up to Ash versus Leon, so on one hand, yes, I am really happy that Ash beat Cynthia, but I think we all knew it was going to happen anyway. The final thing I want to talk about in this episode is Ash's Pokemon. Now, I'm hoping, and it doesn't seem like from the end how this episode ended, how Ash was congratulating them and saying, hey, we're going to beat Leon, we're going to do this as a team like we have been doing, but the way Ash vs Cynthia went, I mean, you saw Dragonite got taken down, pretty much did nothing to the other Pokemon. Gengar pretty much did nothing. Pikachu pretty much did nothing. I'm hoping this will make Ash realise that if he's taking on Leon, the strongest trainer in the world, he needs his ultimate team. He needs Pikachu, Charizard, Sceptile, Infernape, Greninja, and Lucario on a team. I think everybody, every single fan wants to see this happening. And I just hope that he's realised that this Gala team, or his Journeys team, just isn't going to be enough to beat Leon. It's just something I really pray for, is that Ash uses an ultimate team and not just this standard team, in my opinion. But anyway, what rating would I give this episode? You know what, I really did like this episode. However, I don't think I liked it as much as last week's episode. I mean, don't get me wrong, there were some great points in this. There was obviously the Garchomp and Lucario battle I really enjoyed, and Ash winning. But I just feel like the stakes were higher in the last episode than this one. I'm going to give the episode a 9 out of 10. Basically, on the reason it's lost that 1 point for me is just because I enjoyed last week's episode a little bit more than this week's episode. That's all, really. I believe we've got a couple weeks break. I think next week's episode is a recap of Go's progression through Project Mew, and then the week after that we've got a little recap of Go and Cinderace, a little bit how we had Chloe and Eevee. And then after that, I don't know, because I don't think any episodes has been announced since after episode 127. But yeah, if you enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you thought down below in the comments, and I'll see you in a couple weeks with the start of Ash versus Leon.